In another investigation in Washington, this one for murder. K2's John Capel is live in our Southwest.
End on the ground. Our chief foreign correspondent, Lara Logan, begins our coverage from the border that separates Lebanon and Israel. Good evening, Lara.
Good evening, Bubble. We're standing right here on the border where the Israeli army brings most of its casualties from the fighting inside South Lebanon. And from here, we can hear that there's still a very heavy battle raging there. The UN says that the worst affected areas have been cut off from aid, and they estimate that a third of those killed inside Lebanon have been children. This is why the United Nations today called on Israel and Hezbollah to put down their weapons for 72 hours. In this amateur video, you see how terrifying it is for civilians trying to flee the fighting in South Lebanon. Some not able to walk. Others, like this pregnant woman, taking shelter where they can. After more than 2 weeks of war, the UN says people are becoming increasingly desperate, especially in areas cut off by the worst fighting.
Well, we're so desperate now that we ask for 72 hours, which would be the minimum to really try to help the children and the civilians in the crossfire. I cannot believe that we will not get a yes to this.
But it's the children in Israel and Lebanon who Egelin says are paying an unacceptable price in this war.
When there are more dead children than armed men dead in this war, there's something wrong.
After 4 UN observers were killed in an Israeli airstrike on one of their posts Tuesday, the UN announced today they've withdrawn all other unarmed personnel from UN observation posts in South Lebanon. The UN is powerless there, and Israel is insisting the proposed international force that might replace them must have a more aggressive mandate. And from here, you can see why. Those white buildings behind me are a UN post just inside South Lebanon. The Hezbollah raid that sparked this crisis was carried out in full view of that post. With Hezbollah today firing new longer-range missiles deep inside Israel near the town of Afula, 30 miles south of the border, and Israeli artillery firing hundreds more rockets as the fighting raged across the border, there was no immediate sign either side would heed the UN call. Bob, the Israeli army is still battling to take control of Hezbollah's stronghold in the south. That's where they've suffered very heavy losses this week. They say that 26 Hezbollah fighters were killed there today, but there's no confirmation of that from Hezbollah.
Well, Lara, do you think that the Israelis will go along with this temporary truce to get these observers and these children out of there?
Well, we contacted the Israelis the moment this news broke. The Foreign Office said that they had not been approached and had no knowledge of this. And the Israeli army said that they had not yet received any operational orders from the Defense Ministry. We kept checking late into the night, and there was still no change to that.
All right, so no word on that. Well, thanks, Lara. We want to bring in our national security correspondent, David Martin, now at the Pentagon. David, despite this heavy bombing that Hezbollah has been getting from the Israelis, they continue to attack, and some critics are saying the Israelis may have made the same mistake that the United States made in Iraq, and that is underestimated what they were up against. What about that?
Well, Bob, Israel has made so little progress in destroying Hezbollah that some U.S. intelligence analysts are now saying the attempt to create a buffer zone in southern Lebanon has actually bogged down.
It doesn't appear they've been able to claim the territory they want to claim, one intelligence official said. And despite a number of massive airstrikes on suspected command bunkers, Israel has been unable to locate and eliminate Hezbollah's leadership. Not only does Sheikh Nasrallah keep showing up on television, but Hezbollah fighters still appear to be following the orders of senior commanders. Pentagon officials say both U.S. and Israeli intelligence have underestimated the strength, capabilities, and resilience of Hezbollah, beginning with the missile attack on this Israeli warship in the opening days of the war. They never saw it coming, one official said, and were lucky not to have lost the ship entirely. According to an analysis by U.S. intelligence, the missile homed in on the ship from the rear and hit just as the stern was in the trough of a wave, exploding above deck. Had the stern been a few feet higher, the missile would have struck the hull and detonated below deck, possibly sinking the ship.
Israel's most clear-cut success has been in destroying the bridges that link Hezbollah to its sources of resupply in Syria. But at the present rate of 50 to 100 rockets a day, Hezbollah still has enough to keep raining salvos on northern Israel for months to come. Bob?
Well, what about Israel, David? What if they don't agree to this ceasefire? How long do you think this is going to go on?
Well, U.S. intelligence estimates it will take several more weeks of fighting to neutralize Hezbollah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dave. British Prime Minister Tony Blair flew to Washington today for a long strategy session with the president. Afterward, the two seemed ready to get serious about trying to find a way to get this fighting stopped. Our White House correspondent Jim Axelrod is tracking that part of the story.
After 17 days of refusing to call for an immediate end to the fighting, amid deepening divisions with European and Arab allies, George Bush and Tony Blair now say they hope to get a ceasefire plan in motion next week.
It's essential that we do what's right, not necessarily what appears to be immediately popular.
Painfully aware of the criticism, they've been sitting on the sidelines while Beirut burned. Mr. Bush and Mr. Blair laid out concrete next steps. The UN will start working on the makeup of a multinational peacekeeping force. Secretary Rice will fly back to the region tomorrow to secure support for those troops, so that the UN Security Council could take up a ceasefire plan by the middle of next week.
And we wanted to stop, and we wanted to stop now. And what we're putting forward today is actually a practical plan that would lead to a UN resolution.
The appearance allowed both men the chance to address the loss in public support of critically important, moderate Arab leaders.
Of course, there's a sense of shock and frustration and anger at what is happening and grief at the loss of innocent lives. But it is not a reason for walking away.
But after 2 weeks plus of images like these, Mr. Bush and Mr. Blair have been running the risk of isolating not Hezbollah, but themselves.
Listen, the temptation is to say it's too tough. Let's just try to solve it quickly with something that won't last. Let's just get it off the TV screens. But that won't solve the problem.
Of course, the big question's now who will speak with Hezbollah and who will speak for Hezbollah. And why would the group ever agree to lay its arms down now, especially if it's proving to be a much more formidable opposing force for Israel than initially expected? Bob?
Okay, Jim. To try to sort out some of this, we turn now to Martin Indyk, who is the director of the Saban Center for Middle East Policy at the Brookings Institution. He is a former U.S. ambassador to Israel, joining us from our Washington bureau. Ambassador, do you think they have a chance to get the kind of resolution that can get this fighting stopped from the United Nations?
I do. I think it'll actually be relatively straightforward. There's been a surprising amount of agreement about the elements that would go into a ceasefire package, which the Security Council resolution will express.
Is it your sense that you could sell that message to Hezbollah?
There's the rub, Bob, and I think it's very hard to see that the Hezbollah will cooperate in what would in effect be its own demise as a resistance organization.
They're talking about putting this international force in there. Everyone seems to think it's a good idea. From a practical standpoint, where would you think these troops would come from, Mr. Ambassador?
Nobody's going to step up to the plate if the fighting continues. So the first requirement is going to have to be a ceasefire and a political framework established by the Security Council resolution, which would mean that the troops are coming in, invited by the Lebanese government, not as an occupying force, but as, if you like, a liberating force that will help the Lebanese government extend its authority throughout Lebanon. But I think, personally, that it's a mistake for the United States to rule out its involvement. I'm not suggesting Marines with boots on the ground, but I do think the United States needs to have some kind of involvement, perhaps at the command level, in this operation.
All right. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob.
And next on the CBS Evening News, this man insists he is clean. How Tour de France winner Floyd Landis explains his positive doping test. Next.
I try to do whatever I can to take care of my health. It's a very big part of who I am. So when I found out I had osteoporosis, I knew I had to meet it head on. Then my doctor told me about Boniva. how it helps build strong, healthy bones to prevent fractures with just 1 pill a month. And I thought, hey, I can do this. Unlike other treatments you have to take once a week, I only need Boniva once a month.
You should not take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for at least 60 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
If you're as determined as I am to have strong, healthy bones, don't wait. Ask your doctor if Boniva is right for you. I'm so glad I did.
Once monthly Boniva. There's only one. Ask your doctor for a free trial offer or call 1-800-4-BONIVA.
The latest look in fiber is showing up everywhere. All-natural Benefiber, the first fiber supplement that's tasteless and dissolves completely, so you can put it in whatever foods you fancy, even water. Benefiber, the latest look in fiber.
Kevin Taylor just found out he has diabetes. Now he wants to find out more at merksource.com.
Cool.
The source for free, unbiased health information.
So that's inside?
Merck, where patients come first.
Lincoln Mercury has some of America's hottest selling new models. And to celebrate, every 2006 Lincoln has the best values of the summer during the Lincoln Mercury Celebration Clearance. Like the award-winning Lincoln Zephyr. Now lease Zephyr with 0 first month payment, 0 down, and 0 cash due for only $364 a month. And just announced, extended powertrain coverage for 6 years or 70,000 miles on all 2006 Lincoln vehicles.
The superior hold of Fix-It and Control, now combined with a blast of scope flavor for fresh breath. New Fix-It and Control plus scope flavor.
What's going on? It's Dryer slow churned light ice cream. Tastes just like regular.
Dryer slow churned. One day, all ice cream will be made this way.
We have heard this kind of thing before, but American cyclist Floyd Landis claimed today that in his case it is true. He says he did not take any banned drugs, and he won the Tour de France fair and square. Now all he has to do is prove that. Here's Anthony Mason.
For now, Floyd Landis is still the champion of the Tour de France. But less than a week after winning cycling's greatest race, the American was defending his title and his honor.
I would like to leave absolutely clear that I am not in any doping process.
In Spain today, Landis made his first public appearance since testing positive for steroids.
I can say that when I heard them, I was surprised and disappointed, but I'm confident as ever, and I'm proud of the fact that I won the Tour because I was the strongest guy there.
The Tour de France is a brutal and grueling endurance test, a 3-week odyssey across 2,200 miles and up some of the world's most unforgiving mountains. A cyclist on steroids can gain a distinct advantage.
The one major one being that muscle recuperation, muscle healing, and muscle rejuvenation can be much faster.
Landis is having a bad day. Landis, who cracked badly in the middle of the Tour and fell to 11th place, made a stunning recovery only a day later. A magnificent piece of revenge. It was after that epic comeback that tests showed Landis had an abnormally high testosterone level, more than double what most men have.
And that's why that test is used, specifically because the only way to elevate the testosterone level that high is to have an exogenous or outside source of testosterone.
But today, Landis insisted his testosterone levels are naturally high and said he'll undergo tests to prove it.
Until such research has been carried out, to which every sportsman in the world is entitled, I ask not to be judged, and much lesser to be sentenced by anyone.
If a second sample of Landis's blood also tests positive, he could lose his title and face a 2-year suspension. Floyd Landis may have won the Tour de France in the mountains, but clearing his name could be his steepest climb yet. Bob?
Okay, Anthony. The U.S. economy slowed way down in the second quarter. The government reported today that the GDP grew at an annual rate of 2.5%. That is less than half the first quarter rate. Wall Street loved the news, figuring it will discourage the Fed from raising interest rates again. The Dow gained 119 points today. There is a time and a season for everything, and at some baseball parks this season, there's a time to play and a time to pray.
If you use those over-the-counter drops several times a day, you may have chronic dry eye due to decreased tear production without knowing it, like me. And my doctor prescribed Restasis.
With continued use, Restasis helps increase your natural ability to produce tears, which may be reduced by inflammation due to chronic dry eye. It should not be used by patients with active eye infections and has not been studied in patients with a history of herpes viral infections of the eye. The most common side effect is a burning sensation.
More of my own tears. Thanks, Restasis.
Maud, cows are out.
I found it.
I'll take it from here.
Things are easier to find when they're stuck together. New Gladware interlocking lids lock together so you always know where they are. For lids that are easy to find, get Glad.
Ask me. Ask me. If I don't bring it up, you bring it up.
Let's not wait until you've lost any more bone.
Let's not wait till you break a bone.
You're a busy woman.
Osteoporosis is serious business because it can get worse, but bone loss can be reversed. Fosamax Plus D treats postmenopausal osteoporosis. It actually helps reverse bone loss.
It helps prevent hip and spine fractures.
Plus, it's got vitamin D.
You shouldn't use Fosamax Plus D if you have certain disorders of the esophagus.
You have to be able to stand or sit upright for 30 minutes.
If you have severe kidney disease or low blood calcium, you shouldn't take Fosamax Plus D. It's not for vitamin D deficiency.
Tell me about your stomach and digestive problems and your medications. Vitamins and supplements, too.
Stop taking Fosamax Plus D and call me right away if you get heartburn or it gets worse, or swallowing becomes difficult or painful, or if you have chest pain. These could be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
So call me. Make an appointment. Give me a call. We'll talk about it.
Ask me. Ask me about Fosamax Plus D.
Bone loss can be reversed. Ask me.
What's going on?
Everyone's merging left.
Has lost its mind.
The Volkswagen Passat, lowest ego emissions of any German-engineered sedan.
Right now, get 0% financing on all 2006 Volkswagen models, excluding Rabbit and TDI models.
When was the last time you took a hard look at your personal savings? If you haven't lately, you're not alone. Saving less and spending more is a way of life for many of us.
I don't have a plan to keep this going for a long time.
What could this mean for your future? You can't afford to miss our report Monday. See why more people are watching the CBS Evening News with Bob Schiefer.
It's a baseball tradition, staging promotions to get fans to come to the ballpark. There's Bat Day and Cap Day, Bobblehead Doll Day. Well, now a new one has come to the major leagues, and as Jim Acosta reports, the fans at this game really have become the faithful.
Welcome to Turner Field. Thank you for coming.
It may have looked like any other baseball game.
Beer time.
But there was a first at Atlanta's Turner Field yesterday. More than 3,000 evangelical Christians were in the stands for the Major League's first ever Faith Day, a unique doubleheader, a baseball game followed by a Christian rock concert featuring one of the Braves' star players.
For us, this is just a way to be around, hopefully, other Christians.
Thank you.
After the final out, fans who had bought a separate ticket stayed in their seats for a post-game show of Christian spirit.
So give it up and make welcome here for our first Faith Day, John Smoltz.
Braves pitcher John Smoltz delivered what sports writers have dubbed his sermon on the mound.
I get applauded, I get booed, none of which has made me any happier than having a personal relationship with my Lord and Savior.
But not everybody who follows the national pastime is Christian.
Correct. It's not for me to decide the executives of Major League Baseball or the Atlanta Braves why they chose to have it. Personally, I'm glad they have.
The organizers of this event realize there are some baseball purists who prefer a separation between church and the national pastime. But these fan faithfuls stress this is not about baptisms in the bullpen.
But it's not what I refer to as ambush evangelism.
Brett High hatched the idea as a salesman for the minor league team, the Nashville Sounds, 4 years ago. Since then, the concept starring Moses bobbleheads has expanded to nearly 4 dozen cities. Until yesterday, only minor league towns. I guess you could say you've been called up to the show.
Yeah, as a little boy, I dreamed of making the major leagues a little differently than with Faith Days. I actually wanted to play center field for the Atlanta Braves, and now here we are standing in it.
With organizers now planning to bring faith days to other pro sports, this could turn out to be a marketing idea made in heaven. Jim Acosta, CBS News, Atlanta.
And it turns out it was Father and Son Day at the amusement park. Wait till you see who turned up there for a ride on the roller coaster.
Catch that! No sweat!
When you sweat, mosquitoes just can't resist you. But Off Active is sweat resistant. It gives you proven off protection when you sweat. Protection against mosquitoes that may carry the West Nile virus. Sweat resistant Off Active keeps bugs off, even when you sweat. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
When the Middle East erupted, CBS News was there.
As we were walking out of the shelter just now, we heard a rocket explode.
When attack followed attack, the CBS News team took you into the hot zone. When you need to know, you need the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer.
I learned a lot when I found out I had high blood pressure, but I didn't know it could lead to erectile dysfunction.
Having diabetes changed my life, but I didn't know it could lead to ED.
Guys should know that having certain health conditions like high blood pressure
or diabetes may lead to ED, and that Levitra can help.
Doctors know Levitra works for men with ED, even those with high blood pressure or diabetes. Levitra is only for men healthy enough for sexual activity. If you have heart problems or are on alpha blocker therapy, talk to your doctor before taking Levitra. Do not take Levitra if you take nitrates for chest pains, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects may include headache, flushing and stuffy or runny nose. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience an erection lasting longer than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Levitra and call your doctor right away.
Imagine what Levitra can do for you. Talk to your doctor.
The more you know about ED, the more you'll want to know about Levitra.
Terracotta.
Stone.
Bermuda.
York's new Affinity Series air conditioning systems are sleek, quiet, and efficient.
Jet black.
And they come in a choice of colors that are as distinctive as you are.
Champagne.
Because people like color. The new beautiful Affinity Series from York.
It's about more than making music. Bono and U2, Sunday on 60 Minutes.
Finally tonight, our Steve Hartman likes to spend quality time with his father. He left it to our viewers to decide what they should do. Visitors to our website voted to send them to an amusement park. So here now, the evening news debut of Hartman and Hartman in tonight's Assignment America.
The Cedar Point Amusement Park in Sandusky, Ohio has more roller coasters than any place. 16 incredible, awesome, screaming rides. At least that's what I read in the brochure. My dad, George, insists on avoiding thrills at all cost. Roller coasters are absolutely out of the question.
Oh my God, no thanks.
And have been since 1945.
You haven't been on a roller coaster in 60 years?
No.
Now, at the age of 80, he'd like to believe he's too old for roller coasters.
My grandpa's 80, and he rides this all the time. So.
Your grandpa's 80, and he rides this all the time?
You can go now.
He may joke, but believe me,
be on your way.
His loathing of roller coasters is real. In fact, it's so ingrained, I think he actually passed it on to me in his genes. Roller coasters have never been my cup of adrenaline either.
Some guys, they feel like they need to prove themselves all the time.
I think they do too.
Yeah, Hartmans aren't like that.
And then they can brag about it.
They can brag about it. We're not like that.
I know.
Plus, we're scared.
No, to some degree.
To some degree.
We may be wimps, but we both recognize a good bonding opportunity when we see one.
I guess that's what I'm here for.
My dad agreed to go with me on a roller coaster called the Iron Dragon. I promised him he would be perfectly safe.
Slow it down.
Once on the ride.
Ow.
And that this would be a memory we could both cherish forever.
Oh my God. Say a prayer.
Unfortunately, our whole 2-minute adventure to remember ended up being just a blur to him.
What happened?
It's over. Albeit a wonderful, life-affirming blur.
I'm still alive.
That's my dad, proving once and for all that you're never too old to be put through hell by your kids. Now on to my next assignment. What do you want to see? First choice, the Laser Monks. 5 men devoting their lives to faith, hope, and refillable printer cartridges. If you'd like, I'll explain. Or we could go see a professional baseball team with no stadium, no town, and really no fans. Who are they, and why do they even exist? Or finally, we could cover this story. The largest annual gathering of twins in the world. It's your choice. To vote, go to cbsnews.com. Click where it says Assignment America and pick the story you most want to see. I'll be back with the winner right here 2 weeks from tonight. Bob?
I just wish you wouldn't scare those old people. That's the news coming up this weekend here on 48 Hours, 48 Hours Mystery.
The mother of 3 young boys is found dead. Her husband, a cop, is convicted. But what if there never even was a murder? Saturday.
And then on Sunday morning with Charles Osgood, the growing profile and power of Hispanic Americans. On Face the Nation, we'll talk to the Lebanese Prime Minister and Israel's Vice Premier, Shimon Peres. I'm Bob Schieffer in New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, click on CBSNews.com. Brought to you in part by Walmart. Walmart and Sam's Club pharmacies accept all Medicare prescription drug plans. And at the Walmart price, you get a great value for your prescription dollars.
Saving less and spending more is a way of life for many of us. Monday, what it could mean for your future. See why more people are watching the CBS Evening News with Bob Schieffer.
This is CBS.